introduce the new IHSS EVV mobile application. We'll also discuss how to check in and check out using the IHSS EVV mobile app and the ESP. We will also go over timesheet adjustments. And lastly, we will have a question and answer session for any questions you may have. We will open the phone lines for questions at the end of the presentation. And for respect of your time, I just want to remind you, this webinar will focus only on how to check in and check out using the ESP, the Electronic Service Portal, and the IHSS EVV mobile app. If you're looking to learn more about the other system, the telephone timesheet system, unfortunately, you're in the wrong webinar. If you would like to attend that webinar, the next session for the telephone timesheet system is on May 11th at 9:30 and 1:30 p.m.
Why are we making changes to the current EVV system? Electronic Visit Verification, or EVV, is a federal law that requires electronic record of certain information about the IHSS and/or WPCS services performed. The Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, requires the EVV system to electronically confirm the geolocation of in-home supportive services, IHSS, and waiver personal care services, WPCS, providers at the start and end of each workday. The intention of this federal requirement is to ensure that IHSS and WPCS recipients are receiving the care they need in their home or community. The EVV system has been updated to ensure compliance with the federal requirement, effective July 1st, 2023. So everything that we're going over today, the check-in and check-out process, is not effective until July 1st of this year. So all IHSS WPCS providers who do not live with the recipient they work for or non-live-in IHSS WPCS providers are required to geographically check in and out from the location where services are provided. These individuals will identify if they are providing services in the community or in the recipient's home. The EVV changes will only impact non-live-in providers. So if you live with your provider, you don't need to be here today. It doesn't impact you. Live-in providers and recipients are not affected by this change.
EVV system updates. The CDSS has updated the EVV system into the existing Electronic Service Portal and the telephone timesheet system to electronically confirm the provider's location when providers check in and out of each workday. The CDSS has created a new IHSS mobile application that offers non-live-in IHSS WPCS providers a third option to check in and out conveniently on their mobile phone. Non-live-in IHSS WPCS providers can check in or check out of each workday using any of the following options: the IHSS EVV mobile app, the ESP, or the TTS. You can use any internet-enabled device such as a smartphone or tablet when you are using the IHSS EVV mobile app. You can use a computer, laptop, or smartphone when you are using the Electronic Service Portal, the ESP.
What this means: geolocation will only be electronically confirmed at the time a provider checks in and checks out when selecting home. Geolocation will not be collected throughout the day or when a provider identifies as being in the community when they check in or out. At the start and end time of each workday, providers who do not live with the recipient they are providing services for are required to check in and check out using the new IHSS EVV mobile app, ESP, or TTS.
Non-live-in providers who provide IHSS and WPCS services to a recipient that is associated with both the IHSS and WPCS programs will be required to check in and check out for both programs separately. The check-in and check-out information entered into the ESP and the IHSS EVV mobile app will auto-populate on your electronic timesheet. There are no penalties if a provider makes a mistake during check-in and check-out. Providers can fix entries all the way up to when they submit their timesheet to their recipient for approval. For the remainder of this presentation, we will go ahead and show you how to check in and out using the IHSS EVV mobile app and the ESP.
To make it easy for providers, CDSS created the IHSS EVV mobile app to allow providers to check in and check out. The mobile app will not track a provider's location throughout the day. Geolocation will only be electronically confirmed at the time a provider checks in and checks out when selecting home. The mobile app can be easily accessible through any enabled device, such as your smartphone or tablet. Providers are not required to use the mobile app. It is optional. The mobile app is an additional tool that is available for providers to conveniently check in and check out. You cannot submit your timesheet through this application.
To use the IHSS EVV mobile app, non-living IHSS WPCS providers must first download the free IHSS mobile application through Apple's App Store for iOS devices or the Google Play Store for Android devices. Then access the mobile app using the same ESP username and password, so there's no need to re-register. You can go ahead and use your ESP username and password that you already have now for the electronic service portal when you are using the mobile app. Users can search for the app using any of the following keywords: IHSS, EVV, EVV app, IHSS app, WPCS, CDSS, EVV mobile, or electronic visit verification. To distinguish the California's IHSS EVV mobile app from other states, please select California's IHSS program EVV solution for IHSS WPCS providers. To install, you can simply click on the following icons as you see there on the screen. And as a reminder, with the mobile application, it will be available July 1st, 2023 to download. You cannot download it now, unfortunately, but it will be available to download July 1st, 2023.
So just like how Pin said, it's not available until July 1st. So you will not be able to download it right now, but once July 1st occurs, after installing the IHSS EVV mobile app, you will access the onboarding screens when you first open the mobile app. The onboarding screen displays features of the application and a walkthrough of how the app works. To navigate the screens, you can select the Next button. To bypass the onboarding screens and go directly to the IHSS EVV login screen, select the login link in the upper right-hand corner.
You are now all set up to begin the check-in process using the IHSS EVV mobile app. We will now go over the check-in process for the IHSS EVV mobile app.
To begin using the IHSS EVV mobile app option, non-living IHSS WPCS providers must log into the app using your ESP username and password. Once logged in, you'll be taken to the IHSS EVV mobile app Welcome Home screen. You'll be asked to select the action you want to take, check in or check out. To check in, click on the check-in link.
After clicking on check-in, you will be prompted to enable your location. To navigate to the check-in or check-out screens, location services must be enabled for the device. Select Enable to proceed. As previously mentioned, geolocation will only be electronically confirmed at the time a provider checks in or check out when selecting home.
After clicking on Enable, you'll be asked to allow IHSS EVV mobile app to use your location. This is the iPhone message you will see if you're an iPhone user. That image is to the left. Allow IHSS EVV mobile app access to this device's location. That's the message you will see if you're an Android user, and that image is to the right.
To continue, you must select either allow once or allow while using the app. That's what you'll see if you're an iPhone user For Android users, you will see while using this app or only this app. Allow this time, you will see this message, and it means that it'll allow the IHSS EVV mobile app to use your location services once for the app. You'll be prompted again if you re-access the app. Allow while using this app means you allow the IHSS EVV mobile app to use location services when you're using the app to check in.
What happens if you chose not to enable, share, or deny your location? You will receive a warning message asking you to turn on your location. You will not be able to continue with the check-in and check-out process. The warning message states, "This app requires the location services to be turned on in order to check in or out. Please enable the location services to proceed. To proceed, you must select on the Enable link."
If you have not shared your location with the app, or you've disabled the precise location, you will receive a pop-up message asking you to enable your location in settings. So to enable your location in setting, you simply would click on Open Settings, and then select Location, then select While Using App to allow location access. After successfully enabling your location, you will be taken to the check-in screen.
On the check-in screen, you will see the name of the recipient that you work for. You will need to select the recipient you want to check in for. Select the location, home, or community. Click on the check-in button. If a recipient is enrolled in one program, either IHSS or WPCS, the program type option will not be displayed. In this example, the recipient is only enrolled in one program, therefore the program type option is not shown here.
If a recipient is enrolled in both programs, IHSS and WPCS, the Select Program Type option will be displayed on the check-in screen. You will select IHSS or WPCS per check-in.
Once you click on the check-in button, a pop-up message will appear. Select Yes to confirm that you want to check in for the selected recipient. The check-in process is complete and you'll be taken to the check-in confirmation screen.
On the check-in confirmation screen, you have the option to go back to the main landing page or check in another recipient. When you are ready to check out for the end of your workday, you will follow similar steps for the checkout process.
Electronic visit verification, location check-in, check-out, IHSS EVV mobile app checkout. To check out using the IHSS EVV mobile app, you should have the app downloaded and installed on your device as previously described in the overview. And remember, it's not available to be downloaded until July 1st, so if you're in the App Store currently looking for it, it is not there.
Once you log in, you'll be taken to the IHSS EVV mobile app Welcome Home screen. You will be asked to select the action you want to take, check in or check out. Since we're going over checkout, you can simply go ahead and click on the checkout link.
On the checkout screen, you will see the name of the recipients that you work for. And if you work for several recipients, you will see their names. You will need to select the recipient you want to check out for. Input hours and minutes worked is optional. You can choose to enter the hours as you check out or wait until you complete your timesheet. Select the location, home, or community. Click on the checkout button. Please note, if a recipient is enrolled in one program, either IHSS or WPCS, the program type option will not be displayed. In this example, the recipient is only enrolled in one program. Therefore, the program type option is not shown here.
If a recipient is enrolled in both programs, IHSS and WPCS, the Select Program option will be displayed on the checkout screen. You will select IHSS or WPCS per checkout.
Once you click on the Checkout button, a pop-up message will appear. Select Yes to confirm that you want to check out for the selected recipient. For your convenience, the check-in and checkout time will auto-populate on your electronic timesheet in the ESP. The checkout process is complete and you will be taken to the checkout confirmation screen.
On the checkout confirmation screen, you have the option to go back to the main landing page or check out for another recipient.
During the process of using the IHSS EVV mobile app, you will receive error messages when you intentionally turn off the geolocation or when your device has lost internet connection during the check-in and or checkout process. When this occurs, you will need to click on the OK button and you will navigate back to the IHSS EVV check-in or checkout recipient selection screen to enable your location or try again. This completes the check-in and checkout process for your selected recipient using the IHSS EVV mobile app. Now we will go over how to Now we will go over how to check in and out using the ESP.
Electronic visit verification, location check-in, check-out, electronic services portal check-in. We will begin with how to check in using the ESP at www.etimesheets.ihss.ca.gov. Providers will check in at the beginning of their workday for each recipient they work for. Let's get started.
To check in using the ESP option, non-live-in IHSS WPCS providers must log into your ESP account. Once logged in, on the main landing page, you will select the check-in or check-out link.
You will be taken to the check-in or out screen and will be asked to select the action you want to take, check in or check out. To check in, click on the check-in link.
The ESP requires your location services to be enabled in order to check in or out. You will need to select Enable to continue. If you select Not Now, a warning message will display. This app requires the location services to be turned on in order to check in or out. Please enable the location services to proceed.
After you select Enable, you will be asked to allow IHSS.ca.gov to know your location. In order to continue, you must select Allow. If you select Block, you will not be able to proceed with the check-in process. Please note, your location is not being tracked. Geolocation is only captured at the time of check-in and check-out to verify that you are at the recipient's home.
After you select Allow, you will be taken to the check-in screen. On the check-in screen, you will see the name of the recipient that you work for. You will need to select the recipient you want to check in for, select the location, home, or community, and then click on the check-in button. If a recipient is enrolled in one program, either IHSS or WPCS, the program type option will not be displayed. In this example, the recipient is only enrolled in one program. Therefore, the program type is not shown here.
If a recipient is enrolled in both IHSS WPCS, the option to select program type, IHSS or WPCS, will be displayed. You will need to select program type, IHSS or WPCS in order to check it.
The definitions for each field are as follows. Program type identifies what program you work for, IHSS or WPCS. Location, the location of where the service begins or ends for that workday. The location options available are home or community. Home, services were provided in the recipient's home. Community, services were provided outside of the recipient's home. For example, that can include shopping, picking up medications, medical accompaniment, hours worked, the hours and minutes that were worked that day. This field will appear when you check out and you have the option to fill out the hours and minutes worked at checkout, or you can wait to complete them when you fill out your timesheet.
Once you click on check-in, the check-in button, a pop-up message will appear. Select yes to confirm you want to check in for the selected recipient. The check-in process is complete and you'll be taken to the check-in screen.
On the check-in confirmation screen, you have the option to go back to the main landing page or check in another recipient. When you are ready to check out for the end of your workday, you will follow similar steps for the checkout process.
Electronic visit verification, location check-in, check-out, electronic services portal checkout. Now we will go over the checkout process using the ESP at www.etimesheets.ihss.ca.gov. Providers will check out at the end of their workday for each recipient they work for. Let's get started.
To check out using the ESP option, log into your ESP account. Once you are logged in, you'll be taken to the main landing page. On the main landing page, you will select the check-in, check-out link.
You will be taken to the check-in out screen and will be asked to select the action you want to take, check-in or check-out. To check out, click on the checkout link.
After selecting the checkout link, you'll be taken to the checkout screen. On the checkout screen, you will see the name of the recipient that you work for. You will need to select the recipient you want to check out for. Then select the location, home or community, input hours and minutes worked, and then click on the checkout button. If a recipient is enrolled in one program, either IHSS or WPCS, the program type option will not be displayed. In this example, the recipient is only enrolled in one program, therefore the program type option is not shown here.
If a recipient is enrolled in both IHSS and WPCS, the option to select program type, IHSS or WPCS, will be displayed. You will need to select program type, IHSS or WPCS in order to check out.
Once you click on the checkout button, a pop-up message will appear. Select yes to confirm that you want to check out for the selected recipient. For your convenience, the check-in and checkout time will auto-populate on your electronic timesheet. The checkout process is complete and you'll be taken to the checkout confirmation screen.
On the checkout confirmation screen, you have the option to go back to the main landing page or check out for another recipient. This completes the check-in and checkout process for your selected recipient using the electronic service portal. Now we'll go ahead and go over the timesheet adjustments.
What if I forget to check in and or check out? You can check in as soon as you remember. If you forget to check out, the system will populate 11:59 p.m. end time on your timesheet. You are able to adjust your start time and end time on your timesheet any time before submission. What if I checked out and I go back to work? You are able to check in and check out again. The system will capture the earliest check-in time and the latest checkout time. What if I submitted my timesheet to my recipient and notice an error? This is not any different than it is today. Your recipient is able to reject your timesheet for adjustments anytime prior to approving it. There are no penalties for providers, so make sure you hear that one. There are no penalties in regards to the check-in or check-out process. If you make a mistake during the check-in or check-out process, there are no penalties. If a provider no longer works for a recipient and the recipient shows up as one of their active recipients, the provider should contact their local county IHSS office for further assistance. And then, do you have to go back to the recipient's home if you forgot to check out? No, you can just check out as soon as you remember or correct it before submitting your timesheet.
Check-in, check-out adjustments. So we'll go over the screen, the timesheet adjustment screen that you'll see when you are making adjustment using the electronic service portal. To adjust or delete the check-in, check-out time, you log into the ESP, and then on the main landing page, select Time Entry menu on the navigation bar. Then from the drop-down list, select timesheet link, then click on enter time, and then go ahead and select your recipient and then the pay period that you are looking to make adjustments to, the work week, and then select the day. So if you follow that step, this is the screen you'll see. This is an example of November 1st, Tuesday, that we'll go over how to adjust it. So to edit the check-in time, click on the start time field, which is the first arrow you see there on the left. And then to edit the checkout time, click on the end time field to change the time. If a provider needs to edit the check-in location, click on the drop-down box under Start Location. If a provider needs to edit the checkout location, click on the drop-down box under the End Location. To delete the check-in and checkout entry entirely, you can click on the blue X on the right-hand side of the screen and it'll clear all the fields, which will clear out the check-in and checkout time. If a provider wants to enter time for that date because they worked, they can re-enter the information.
Here are some things to remember. Providers will electronically submit their timesheets the same way they do today, through the Electronic Services Portal ESP and through the Telephone Timesheet System TTS. Providers are still paid for hours worked and not the time between your check-in and check-out. There are no penalties for making an error. Geolocation will only be electronically confirmed at the time the provider checks in and checks out from the recipient's home.
Geolocation will not be collected throughout the day or when a provider identifies as being in the community when they check in or out. The check-in and out information entered into the ESP and the IHSS EVV mobile app will auto-populate onto your provider's electronic timesheet. There are no impacts to the recipient. The check-in and check-out requirement does not change recipient services or how you provide them. And most importantly, live-in provider who lives with their recipient are not required to check in and check out. This requirement is only for non-live-in providers.
This concludes the electronic visit verification webinar overview of the location check-in and check-out for non-live-in IHSS WPCS providers. We will now open the phone lines to hear questions, and also we'll open up the chat. And we're only discussing the topics covered today during the webinar. So regarding the check-in and check-out process, please do not ask any specific questions regarding your case, your recipient, anything related specifically to you. Keep it to the webinar that we had today. Thank you.
All right, everyone, in just a moment, I will be opening up the chat. And please remember, we will only be taking questions regarding this particular webinar and how to use the app for the IHSS check-in and check-out. Also, we have a full house, so we will have to limit the questions to just one. So please remember, there is just one question when you're called upon. Okay, so hold on just a moment. And I'm going to send a request to unmute yourself to Marla Tavo, and then you will be able to hit request and be able to ask your question.
Yes, thank you so much. God bless you guys for this information. I have a quick question. Okay, I take care of my grandson who's a special needs. 4 times a week, they sleep at my house with my daughter. So I'm kind of confused because what do? Do I put community? They have another address, that's their residence. So I asked the state nurse, she said to put community, and I take him to school. What will happen those times that he's in school? Do I check in and check out? Or is it only once a day I check in and at night I check out.
Thank you for your question. So in regards to how many times you check in during the day, it would be one time during the day when you perform that very first service, that very first IHSS service, you would check in once, and then you would only need to check out once at the end of the day when you perform that last service. So if you're performing the service throughout the day in and out, you don't have to check in and out throughout the day. We just need you to check in once in the beginning and check out once at the end. And in regards to having your recipient over at your home and providing care to them, we need to remember that IHSS regulation requires a service must be performed in the recipient's home. The only services that can be provided in the community are services such as grocery shopping, errands, picking up medication, medical accompaniment, but all other IHSS services is typically all performed at the recipient's home. And if there's circumstances where the personal care services are being provided somewhere other than the recipient's home, providers should reach out to their social worker.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And we'll go to the next person with their hand up, Sandra. You can, I've unmuted you. You should see a request and you can unmute yourself. Sandra, it looks like you're unmuted.
Question. Well, we're in California. I live in Fresno, and my sister lives in Coalinga. That's like a minute and 15-minute drive around there. And sometimes I take her out to Fresno for appointments. When I clock, I'm gonna clock in when I get here, to pick her up. And then sometimes it's far. We take more than sometimes 6 hours or whatever, so I can clock out, and I'll be clocking out as community.
Thank you for that question. So when you're out, you said, 6 hours out in the community, wouldn't you have to take her back to her home, the recipient?
Yes, I do take her back to her house, to where she lives. But, okay, that's why I said I live in Fresno, and my sister lives in Coalinga. That's like 130-something miles, So
right, yeah.
She has her appointments in Fresno, or I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hanford. And, I only do 10 hours a week. So I divide it, I come one day and then, 2 days.
Yeah, so as far as the appointments go, because you're going to her home to pick her up, that would be you would check in as home, and then when you return her back to her home, you would also check out as home, because you're returning the recipient back to her home.
It doesn't matter if it's more than 6 hours, because I normally just work 5 hours.
Correct. Your check-in and check-out time will not match the hours that you work in most cases, just like in your example. So when it comes down to it, your check-in and check-out time could be 6 hours, but say technically your hours worked on your timesheet will say 5, and that's perfectly fine. They don't have to match.
Oh, okay. That was just my concern. Thank you very much.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. And we're going down to, Lavelle. I've sent a request to unmute yourself. Lavelle, yes, we can hear you.
So when we start checking in, you gotta, is it something about the location on your phone need to be on?
Thank you for your question. Yeah. When you check in, you'll have to allow the app to know your location in order to move forward with the check-in process. And then in regards to, capturing your geolocation, it will only capture the geolocation when you're at the recipient's home. When you check in at the recipient's home, we want to know that you are indeed at the recipient's home providing the care that they need. If you happen to be in the community, checking in the community or checking out in the community, providing an IHSS service like grocery shopping or running an errand, then you can simply go ahead and check out there, selecting community, and you would still need to enable the location, but we're not going to gather that data exactly where you're at when you're in the community. We just want to know that when you are checking in at the recipient's home, we want to know that it is the recipient's home.
Great, thank you very much. We're moving on to Mercedes. You have been sent a request to unmute yourself. You press the button and you will be able to speak. There you go. Mercedes, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So my question is, so I take care of my mother, and so when I go to her house, so I clock in, right? And then we go out to doctors or a community, and sometimes I can like sleep over. And how is that gonna work when I kind of one night I decide to sleep over at her house? So I clock in like at 5 p.m. and I clock out at like 8 a.m. in the morning. Is that gonna be like overtime, or can I just declare that I actually just work for her, like the night, like from 5 to 11 p.m. So how's that?
As far as you're checking in at your mom's home, say 8 p.m., and then whenever you performed your last service, if that's 11 p.m., then you would just check out, and it would be home also, because you're still in the recipient's home. And then if you decide to stay the night, that's up to you. But if you're performing IHSS services, then the app would automatically log you out it would check you out at 11:59 p.m., and then you would need to check back in soon thereafter. We understand that sometimes people forget, there's issues, there are exceptions, so we understand that this is a new process and everybody's learning how to do it. So again, there are no penalties, just remember to do, when you remember, make sure to do the check-in and check-out process.
Yeah, so okay. But if I forget, like you said, I do it at 11, and I end up doing it at 8, then when I fix my time, I can just you don't pay overtime, right?
Right. So we're not talking about overtime right now. This is simply just the check-in and check-out process.
Okay. Oh, okay. Got it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now have Parisa. I'm sending you a request to, request to unmute. You should see that, and you can press it, and you'll be able to speak.
My question is that most jobs, when they have upgrades or they have new system that you need to learn, you get paid for that. I was wondering if we're gonna get paid for these webinars that we're attending.
Question. This webinar is actually an informational session where we're providing you information, trying to get you ready for the transition of the new app. So it's not a paid session. It's not a training session in a sense. It's an informational session where we want to help you out, get you ready for the new app and providing you any presenting this new app and any question you may have before the app comes into effect July 1st. We want to get your feet wet a little bit so that when July 1st comes, then you'll be ready to check in and out when the app and ESP is available.
And when there is an app coming up and we're going to go ahead and use it, where can we go to get more information, or if we have issue with the app or check in, check out, where can we go and get help?
So we will upload some training materials on our website, but go ahead and give us 1 or 2 weeks to post that on our website. It's step by step, just like how we're showing you here on this webinar. There'll be it's like a step by step. You can follow it, a guide on how to check in and check out. That's one option. And should you have any issues with the app or ESP while you're checking in and out, you can call our help desk at 866 376-7066. It's Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Right there on the screen, it'll show up in a bit, and I'll go ahead and put that in chat also for you to see. You can also call that number for any issues you may have with the ESP or mobile app come July 1st.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Please remember, everyone, we are limiting it to one question. So please keep your comments or questions to just one, and so we can get through as many people as we can. Thank you. Daniel, I have sent a unmute request to you. You can press or click there you go. And what is your question, Daniel?
I want to know about the timesheet adjustment. So let's say that I clocked in, at the recipient's home, and I clocked out at the community. And then when you were showing us the training on how you can fully remove the adjustment, now why would someone go ahead and do that? And then if I did do that, then how would I clock in and out again if it's not going to show my geolocation anymore?
Okay, so you're just...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to make sure you understood the question. Do you understand that question?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So, as far as the time adjustment, say for example, the time adjustments come into play when, say, someone forgets to completely check in or check out, and and it auto populates to 11:59 p.m. and they wanted to adjust that because that's not correct. Things like that. This is for when the exceptions occur and you need to go back and adjust it or fix it. When you forget those types of things, it's not going to be common, but it is there for you to adjust when need be.
Okay, I mean, I guess we'll see how it is, how it works.
Great, thank you. Okay, next person is Ming. I'm sending you a request to unmute. Oh, that didn't go through. There. Ming, you need to press the little button and you can ask your question. Oh, she's not unmuted. I'm going to send another request. A little box will pop up on your computer, Ming, and you will be able to unmute yourself.
I did see a question in the chat asking if the presentation was done and if they could leave. Yes, the presentation is done. Just what we're doing now is questions and answers. So if you don't have any questions and you don't want to stay, by all means, you do not have to. You're more than welcome to leave.
Okay, Ming, one more time. I'm going to send you a request to unmute. Okay, we're going to go to Vicky. Hold on just a moment. Vicky, a request has been sent to you to unmute. Vicky, one more time. I'm going to send a request to unmute. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to the next individual, who is Shamron. If I said that correct, I sent a request to unmute. Okay, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I have a question. I'm a care provider for my mom, and there's no internet reception at her place. So, our phone is not. There is no reception, pretty much, and she doesn't have an internet. So, what should I do in this case?
I'm just going to repeat it just to make sure I understood you correctly. You said that what do we do if you don't have reception?
My phone doesn't have a reception at where my mom lives. And then there is no internet, like a wired internet service at her house. She doesn't use it. She doesn't need it.
That is a great question. So what if you lose service or there's no internet connection because it's like a rural area where there's no internet connection, that's not a problem. You can still go ahead and check in using the app. And the way the app works is that it still works when there's no service, and then it will upload the information when your service is restored. So go ahead and check in, and then when you go back to the outside where you receive Wi-Fi or internet, the information will load. So it's not an issue. Thank you for your question. That's a great question.
Okay, next we have Monica. I sent you a request to unmute. You can unmute yourself by pressing that. Monica, can you hear us? Oops, you're still... Okay, I sent you another request to unmute. Monica? Monica, I sent a request to unmute. Okay, we'll go to the next person. We have Lillian Gitman. I have sent you a request to unmute yourself. There you go, Lillian.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you. My question is, when we check in and out by the phone or ESP systems, it automatically populates those hours the way we're doing them now in EVV? Oh, so I don't have to do it, only adjustments.
Yes, so it will auto-populate, but like, for example, if it's incorrect or say you need to adjust it, you have the ability to do that. But yes, it will auto-populate.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I add on to that?
Oh, just one question. I'm sorry. Thank you.
It wasn't me who said it.
Oh, well,
So this is Pin. I want to add on to Elisa. Elisa's reply onto how the timesheet auto-populates. So yeah, the check-in, check-out will auto-populate, and if you want to enter your total hours worked, it will auto-populate onto your timesheet. However, you will still need to log into the ESP to submit your timesheet to get paid. So just remember that you still need to go into the ESP and submit it for your recipient to review to get paid. But it does auto-populate where you wouldn't have to enter start and end time location, because when you do it in the start, when you use the app to check in and check out, it's like a timestamp. It'll just transfer over to your timesheet. But make sure you still need to review to make sure the hours are correct, and then submit for your recipient to review.
Great, thank you very much. We have Hilda now. I'm sending you a request to unmute. Hilda, are you there? Yes.
Okay. I'm kind of confused. When the last question a lady asked was great, it was some of my answer, my question. For example, if I check in from the app or the ESPN using the program, and then it just auto-fill, like it fills out to the next garbage, right? I mean, like from here to there, I can see it is check in and check out. If I check in on my mobile app and then ESPN, so it's just transfer, right?
That is correct. So when you check in, check out, the information that you entered will be transferred over to your timesheets. And then, like I said earlier, you still have to go back in and just review to make sure the hours are correct. And you still need to submit it so you can get paid.
So that's my question. When it's transfer, how about if I, for example, instead of 3 hours, like hours was the mistaken, so where can I, adjust it?
So you go back into the ESP, under your timesheet, you click on the date you want to make adjustment to. So just like today, if you make a mistake, you can go back in there and update that information. So nothing has changed with the way you enter your time. You can still make the updates before submitting your timesheet.
Thank you. We have Alina, Alina. I've sent a request to unmute you. Alina, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, my question is if I check in front of the reception house or like I'm picking up her for doctor, is it a community or is count as home? Right, parking lot.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you're picking up your recipient from her home, then you would be checking in as home.
Oh, okay. It's a home is like a front of the house or parking lot because they live in a senior citizen house. And
yes, that's fine.
Is a home, huh?
Yep, that's fine. Yeah, if you're picking them up on the curb, the parking lot, that's perfectly fine. The geolocation will know that that's her home.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Ruslan, Ruslan, I've sent a request to unmute you. Okay, I don't know what happened to Oh, there's Ruslan.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Okay, ask your question, please.
Yes, so my mother has a caretaker, and the caretaker comes for 8 hours a day. First time she comes to pick her up from her home in the morning, takes her to the daycare for 5 hours, and then comes back. She then leaves for 3 hours, and then she returns in the evening and spends the rest of the time with her in the evening at home. So how would so from 5 to 8, another 3 hours. So she breaks down her hours. How would she check in the morning, and then how would she check out at night?
Great question. So with the breakdown that you gave me, her when she gets to your mom's to pick her up, she would check in as home, and then at the evening, the very last service, it sounded like she would still be at the home, or back at the home, so she'd be checking out as home also.
Okay, and then so she'll be checking in at 8 and then checking out at 8, that will be 12 hours, but she's only assigned 8 hours. Would that make a difference?
No, it does not. She's still getting paid for her hours worked. Not the check-in and check-out time.
Got it. So she wouldn't have to use community at all, right?
Correct. In that instance, it would be home and home.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Vera. Vera, I sent an unmute request. You just need to click on it. There we go. Vera, what is your question? Go ahead.
So basically, if the recipient is going on vacation together with me, how would I check in?
Great question. So when it comes to traveling, recipients must be in the current residents living in the state of California to receive IHSS, which we all know that. But when it comes to travel of any kind, recipients are required to contact their local county as soon as they are planning a trip of any kind. So we highly recommend reaching out to your social worker, not your, but the recipient social worker, to discuss the travel and to make sure that they're aware of it. And then that is our best advice as far as going about the vacation aspect of it, or traveling in general, because the majority of IHSS services are to be performed in the recipient's own home. Community is only for, say, grocery shopping, errands, picking up medications, things like that.
Okay, makes sense.
Great. Thank you so much for that question. Next, we have Lily. I have sent an unmute request, Lily. There you go. What is your question? Yes, Lily, we can hear you.
So my question is, you might already answer this question, but I'm still confused about it. So it's when I have overnight shift, so I clock in at 9 p.m. and then my shift ends 7 a.m. in the morning per se. So the system will automatically clock me out at 11:59. So then do I need to clock in again at 12 a.m.?
That's a good question. You would clock in again as soon as you perform that first service for the next day. So you would go ahead and clock in again the next day whenever you've performed that first service.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lily. And next we have Karen. I have sent a request to unmute yourself. There you go. Karen, are you there? Karen? You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Karen?
Using the headset, you might want to check to make sure your actual microphone on the headset itself is not set to mute. Just to warn you. Happens to all of us.
Karen, are you there? Okay, we'll go to the next person, which is Krissa. Krissa, I have sent you an unmute request. There you go. Krissa? Can you hear us, Krissa?
So if I were to grocery shop for her and then go to her house and spend the night, how does that work?
Okay, I didn't pick up the very first part, so you go somewhere before you start your services in the morning?
Yeah, well, sometimes I'll be grocery shopping for her, like first thing in the morning, and my way to her house, and then every other week I like plan on spending the night. So I just was wondering how that would work.
So you would check in the community. Since you're providing that first service in the community, go ahead and check in the community, and then you go back to her home, and then whatever time you provide that last service for that particular day, that same day. Let's just say you ended, you performed the last service at 8 p.m., so you check out at 8 p.m. And you mentioned if you spend the night, then, you would check in again the next day when you perform that first service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Roya, R-O-Y-A. I have sent a request to unmute yourself. Are you there? We can see your microphone is on.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, very well. My mother is my recipient, and my brother gives her a ride 4 times a week to my house because I have dogs that I don't want to leave alone. And he picks her up after the shift. And grocery and stuff is separated. I'm talking about my home. She's always in my home when she's in a home. Should I always pick community?
So when it comes down to it, the IHSS regulations require that services must be performed in the recipient's own home. The only services that can be provided in the community are grocery shopping, picking up medications, medical accompaniment. All other IHSS must be conducted in the recipient's home.
I did call IHSS and I cleared it with them about a month ago.
Then I would recommend calling back to your social worker because we can't discuss that here. This is regarding the check-in and check-out.
Okay, so, but I have to put community as long as she's here, correct?
No, you need to be performing the services in the recipient's home.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Sandy Nichols. I have sent a request to unmute. Sandy?
Hi.
Hi.
I have a situation where my daughter's disabled and I have a caregiver that works, she clocks in for 12 hours but has a 3-hour break in the middle. And another caregiver comes and relieves her during that break. And I know the original caregiver is going to clock in when she gets there and clock out, 12 hours later when she's already done, only going to book the 9 hours, which I understand. But since there's a crossover in caregiving because of the relief person, is that a problem?
Jill?
Okay. All right. That was my question. I just want to make sure that because the system could show that there were two people there. So I just want to.
Because each provider will have their own account, the check and check out, so it's not going to be an issue.
Okay, perfect. That's what I needed to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. And please remember, everyone, we're getting into the last stretch of this webinar. If you do have questions and we are not able to get to you, please email us at evv@dss.ca.gov. And now we'll move on to the next person, Nayan, Nyan. I have sent a request to unmute. There we go.
Okay, my question is, why is geolocation being used if I'm doing work in the community?
So geolocation, according to the app or ESP, you have to enable it, and we're not gathering the information. It just shows that community. The only time that we're truly tracking you is when you select home for the recipient to confirm that the address that we have on file for that recipient matches to ensure that they're receiving the services that they need. So that's truly why we're tracking, and it's only for the recipient's home.
Thank you. And next we have January. I have sent you a request to unmute yourself. Okay, January, can you hear us?
It is. I have an individual that I provide services for, and he utilizes a wheelchair for mobility. We often meet at his physical therapist's office because my vehicle cannot accommodate the wheelchair. And I'm wondering, if I meet him at his physical therapist's office, would I use the community as a check-in point, or how would I do that?
You would go ahead and choose community.
Okay, great. And would I have to follow the vehicle, his transportation provider, to his home to check out? Once our day is completed with the physical therapist and my time is over, would I have to go all the way back to his house, follow his transportation vehicle to his home to check out at that location?
So you would, so pretty much checkout is when you perform that last service. So whatever you're doing, that last service, whether it's in the community or home, then you would choose it. So if you're following him back home, are you going to provide that last service at his home? If yes, then you would choose home. Otherwise, if you don't need to provide that last service at his home and you're only providing care him in the community to, push him back to his car, then that would be considered community. So bottom line is you would check out in the location wherever you provide that last service for the day.
Thank you. Elena, I sent you a unmute request. There you go. Hello, Elena?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. The question is, how can I check in and check out if I take care of two people? So the existing timesheet entry allows me to enter my hours subsequently, right? But when you're in the house with two patients, you actually do do services for both of them. So the timesheet entry is like a formality. So and everybody understands that. But should I do the same with my check-in and check-out hours? So I put like 4 hours and check in for one person, and then check out, and then check in for the second person right away, and in 3 hours later I check out. Or I check in the beginning of the day and check out at the end of the day. What's your suggestion?
Great question. So if you're working for multiple recipients and you stated that your recipient lives in the same home, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how it works is you work for 2 recipients, they live in the same home. So that first service you provide for recipient 1, as soon as you begin that first service, go ahead and check in for recipient 1. And then the second recipient, when you provide the first service for the second recipient is when you check in again. So you check in for both recipients separately at the time you begin the first service. Same thing with checking out. You work for 2 recipients, you would check out when you provide that last service to that first recipient, and then again when you provide that last service for the second recipient. So you gotta go ahead and check in, check out for them separately, whether it's back to back, it depends on when you provide that first service and when you provide that last service.
So it somehow has to match my timesheet entry, right?
Yeah, so the check-in and check-out time is the same thing as just the start time and end time on your timesheet. And yeah, you don't have to check in and out throughout the day, only once in the beginning and once at the end.
Okay, great. Thank you, Elena. We now have Tina Soto. Tina, I have sent a request to unmute yourself. Okay, Tina, can you hear us?
Ask my question. So I have 2 clients that live in 2 different homes, but sometimes they like to do groceries together. Am I able to do time for both of them at the same time? Like say I pick one up and then I go pick up the other and then we all do grocery shopping together. Is that something I can do?
Check-in and check-out process. When you pick up the first recipient, then you would check in for that recipient, and then when you pick up the other recipient, you would check in at that time, and then go do what you need to do.
And then take them home and clock them out individually again.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
Oops. Hold on just a moment. Oops. I can't see. Hold on just a moment, everyone. I'm having a little technical difficulty here. Here we go. Now, Chun, C-H-H-U-N, I have sent you a request to unmute yourself. There you go. What is your question, please?
Yes. So my question is for both the mobile app and using ESP, what type of geolocation information is captured? Like, is it the IP address or the MAC address, MAC device address, which is the media access control address? Are those captured as well? What type of geolocation information is captured?
We'll capture the recipient's address.
All right, thank you. And next we have Pat. I have sent a request to unmute yourself. Okay, Pat, can you hear us?
Yes, you didn't address that at any time we may move in with the recipient, like I'm taking care of my mom, and I have since moved in with her. So I don't really need to do this process now, right? Because I moved in before I received this notice.
Yeah, so you do need to contact the county office though and let them know that you are living now with your recipient, and I believe there is additional paperwork to do that. And if you do that, you are going to be considered a live-in. So that is correct. You will not have to check in or check out because you are living with your recipient or client.
Okay, so who do I contact?
Your local county IHSS office. and speak to the recipient social worker?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Okay, next we have Hamlet. Hamlet, I have sent a request to unmute yourself. Can you hear us, Hamlet?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes,
We can hear you.
Yes, thanks. I have a question about, for the old system, each recipient is showing the, like, months, you have 120 hours. For example, 130 hours. Still, it's going to show up for this new system, how many hours you have it, and it's not supposed to, I have a two reception, take care. So, it's not supposed to like 2 weeks, like pass like 6 hours. Still, it's gonna show me for the new system. That's my question.
Okay, so you want to know how many hours you're going to have in a month?
Yes, for the new system, still is gonna show me this EVV system is gonna show me the how many hours is remaining.
Great question. Thank you for that question. So, in regards to showing your total hours available or work, it's going to remain the same. Nothing's changed in regards to that. You'll still be able to view that in the electronic service portal when you enter your time. So, the check-in and check-out process does not affect that at all. It's just a new.
And another quick question. So when I do check-in and check-out, the reception, they have to do same day. They have to do approve. They have to do login at the same day. They have to do approve for the timesheet for reception. And it's not gonna changing for reception for the login. It's gonna same thing or not?
I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Are you saying when you use the system, you use the same login? Is that what you're saying?
When I finish my work, check out, and reception, they have to go same day. They have to go login for approve. This is the same system. They have to do. They have to do every day. They have to do. They have to go checking. I need for approve for my timesheet.
Okay, so good question. I think I have it. So you check in as soon as you perform the service. So the provider yourself, you're the provider, correct?
Yes.
So you would check, as soon as you perform that first service, you check in. And then when you perform the last service, you check out. In regards to how the recipient approves your timesheet, it remains the same. So they can approve it just how they are doing it today. Nothing's changed about how they approved your timesheets.
Great, thank you very much. Next we have Catherine. I have sent you a request to unmute yourself. Catherine, I sent you another request to unmute yourself. You need to click on the box so you can unmute yourself. It should pop up near the middle of your screen. Catherine, can you hear us? Catherine, you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Okay, so we will go to the next person, Kathleen. Oops, that did not work. Kathleen, I have sent a request to unmute yourself. What is your question, Kathleen?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah, okay, so thank you. So my question is, does the recipient need to, I guess on the time card for that day, clear our timesheet, or is that the end of the 2 weeks that the recipient does that?
Okay, are you asking about how to put in your time or when to put in your time?
Oh, no. I understand how to check in and everything, that I understand that. See, I have a laptop and the new procedure will probably come in through my laptop. And when I go to my recipient's home, I check in at her home, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And I check in at her home if I give service.
Kathleen, we can't hear you, or at least I cannot hear you. Are you still there? Kathleen, are you still there? You might have accidentally muted yourself.
I think her question was, when does the recipient have to approve the timesheet? So it's just like the other question. The recipient can approve the timesheet the way they are doing today. So within, they can choose to do it each day they want, or at the end of the pay period to approve the timesheet.
Okay, great. Thank you. I can't. Hold on just a moment, please. Okay, we're going to go to Rosa. Rosa, I have sent a request to unmute yourself.
I sometimes run errands 3-4 times a week after the visit from home, and I go there to my home and then bring whatever they needed in the morning. Is it going to cause a red flag if I'm checking out in the community 3-4 times a week?
So you said every 3 to 4 days you're always going grocery shopping?
3-4 days, 3-4 times a week. Sometimes I go for groceries, sometimes I pick up medications, and then from there I go home. Sometimes I pick up eye drops because they need it, and it wasn't in the grocery list. But what I do is from the shopping, from doing the errand, I go home and bring whatever they need the next day. Is it going to cause a red flag when I'm marking 3-4 times a week that I'm checking out in the community?
Ideally, it would be more, we would like to see more home check in and check out. But if for some reason you were to get flagged, it's understandable because like you said, you're doing these errands and then, because we had the same thought, like, well, what are you doing with the stuff? You're not bringing it back, but you said the next day you're bringing it with you. So in this instance, it makes sense. So then, it makes sense to check out in the community because that's where you're at.
Do I need to let my social worker know that this might cause a red flag or no?
It wouldn't hurt to put the note in the account. It wouldn't hurt at all. Just to notate that that's what you do, 3 to 4 times a week. Because that's okay, because you're actually doing a service that is an IHSS.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And next we have HAMIDEH. I have sent a request to unmute yourself. There you go. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My question is, I work for my parents and I work out of the house. Therefore, I come early in the morning and leave in the afternoon. During the whole entire day, do I have to keep checking in and checking out, or can I just check in when I come into the house and then check out by end of the day when I leave?
Exactly. Just that. Check in once in the morning when you get there and check out when you're performing your last service.
Okay, and then fix the hours on the timesheet when I and enter my timesheet? Because if I come in at 7 a.m. and leave at 7 p.m., obviously it's more than the hours that I'm granted. Do I go back into the timesheet and individually change them to reflect the hours worked?
Right, your hours worked is how you get paid. So your start and end time would not match your hours worked.
Correct, and that is okay with that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Oops, I think I accidentally. Oops, I think I missed somebody. Sorry. Stacy, I have sent a request to unmute yourself. Stacy, can you hear us? Morning.
My question is, I do laundry for my client, and she doesn't have a washer and dryer, so I will bring her laundry home. So if it's, say, a Saturday or a day that I'm not with my client and I'm doing her laundry, do I clock in and out on community?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be fine. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Well, I'm just wanting to verify because she's in San Bernardino County. I'm in Los Angeles County.
Okay, well, if you already are getting paid to do the services, then that's the way it is. However, if you're doing that on your own, you do need to talk to the social worker and let them know that you're performing those tasks. Because when you're performing a task for IHSS services, they should be provided in the home. So you will need to speak with the social worker about that.
Okay. Well, I know I can do laundry, but she doesn't have a laundry facility, so I have to take them somewhere. I'm going to a laundry.
Yeah, definitely talk to the social worker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next we have, and we only have a few minutes left. We have 5 minutes, so we're going to try to get to as many people as we can. Please remember one question. Thank you. Lisa, I have sent a request to unmute yourself. There you go, Lisa.
An informative webinar. My question is, can I download the mobile app on multiple devices and use them interchangeably? For example, check in on my phone and then check out on a tablet or even on ESP?
Yes, of course. You can definitely download the app to as many devices as you want.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we have Jonathan. Jonathan, I've sent you an unmute request. Jonathan? I've sent it again. There you go. What is your question, Jonathan? Hello?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my quick question is, so I work for my mom and I go every day to her house, but I gotta help her out to get out of the bed and all that. Do I put home every day? Would I have any issues with that?
Not if that's where you're providing the first service of that day. Then it is at her home because you're getting her up, getting her dressed, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because I pick her up, I help her out dress, and then we go to the doctor, we go to the store or whatever. But my first service is at her house, so I shouldn't have any problem if my time she shows home the 7 days.
Well, if that's when you're providing services for her, yes, it would be home. All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so we have probably just enough time for one more. And, oops, sorry about that. I have Carlos. Carlos, you are now unmuted. Carlos, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, what is your question?
My question is, can the recipient download the app or a tablet, let's say, or an iPad? In other words, when I check out, because I'm the provider, can I just use the recipient's tablet or their app on their phone? That's my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. If they give you the authority to use their things, then yes, as long as you have permission to use their tablet, their phone, then by all means, then use it. But just make sure you get permission.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everyone. We do have enough time for one more question. Real quick, if we do not get to your question, the email address to send us your question is evv@dss.ca.gov. And our last question will be from Vera. Vera, I sent a request to unmute yourself. Vera, did you see the request to unmute yourself? You need to press. Vera, I sent another request. There you go. Vera?
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to do one more. Let's see. We have Lavelle again. Lavelle, I sent you a request to unmute. Lavelle? Hello? We can't hear you if you might be muted. Okay, so we're going to go down. Our last question will be from Doris. Doris, I sent a request for you to unmute yourself. Doris, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, what if you don't have an Android or iPhone? How do you go about doing it?
So any internet-enabled device will work. You can use a tablet, so whatever device you're using that has internet, it will work.
Okay, so we just have to maybe get a tablet then.
That works if that's best for you. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. It is now 11 o'clock. The webinar has concluded. We do appreciate everyone showing up and asking your questions, and hopefully your questions answered some other questions for other participants. We will be having additional webinars throughout the month. And please remember, if you do have further questions and they weren't answered during this webinar, you may email us at evv@dss.ca.gov. And once again, thank you everyone who participated with the presentation. Have a great day.
Carolyn, this is Pin. I have a comment in regards to one question that was in chat. It was a question regarding the both feature in the ESP currently. There's a both option where they could choose home and community. With the new update effective July 1st, there will no longer be a both option, because with the check-in and check-out, you can't check in and check out at the same place at the same time. So you will not see both anymore. It's either a start location and an end location, and you would either have to choose home or community. There's no longer a both button.
Con vậy?